Hi everyone, my name is Ibrahim. I work as an internal medicine trainee in the NHS. In this video, we're going to talk about a doctor's pay in the UK. How much will I get paid? That was obviously initially the very first question that comes into your mind when you start planning to come to the UK, and also when you're looking for jobs. And I think that's the driving factor for all the things that you're doing initially before coming to the UK. How much will you get paid as a doctor in this country? A lot of doctors want to familiarize themselves with the stages of doctors in the UK according to their own countries, and sometimes it doesn't match, and that's why the disparity comes in. Especially the term GP is different in the UK than the common countries that we come from. So in this video, we are going to discuss at length about pay scale for doctors, understanding different levels of doctors, what is banding or what is enhancement, different taxes and other deductions, calculating your take-home pay, opportunities of earning extra money. I'm going to explain an NHS payslip and also some frequently asked questions. So let's get started. Pay scale for doctors in the NHS has what you call some nodal points. So it's a nodal point 1, 2, 3, 4. And all those nodal points are basically allocated to a different level of doctors. So if you have seen other videos in our website or read some articles in our website and seen some other videos regarding the trainee levels, you probably have some basic idea about how different trainee levels are structured. Just to reiterate, to actually explain the different nodal points, you have to understand the hierarchy of doctors at different levels in the NHS. So initially, when a UK graduate graduates from medical school, they get into a foundation training, which is equal to the internship in many other countries. So foundation training 1 is the junior most doctor, so that will be the nodal point 1, and then foundation year 2, and then when they get into some training, then they either get into a run-through specialty training, which will be ST1, or which is equal to a core training level 1, which is CT1. So CT1, CT2, CT3, and then they join a specialty training or progress into it further in the run-through training is called ST3. So if you ask me what are the 4 basic differences of junior doctors, I would say FY1, FY2, CT1 and ST3. These are the 4 cutoffs for your payment. If you get a job which is at FY2 level, you will get paid less if you get a job in ST1 level or CT1 level. So even though when you think about that, the job description of a CT1 doctor and an FY2 doctor may become almost similar, but there is a significant pay difference. So CT1 doctor and ST1 doctor gets a bit higher bracket pay, it's a higher nodal point, and FY2 doctor is get a lower like nodal point, and FY1 doctor is much lower than that. So if we talk about numbers, we'll come to numbers afterwards, but this is the idea that you have to get what level of job you are doing. So if you start off a junior doctor, all these are junior doctors underneath ST3. So CT1 level doctor or FY2 level doctor or an FY1 level doctor, all are junior doctors, then the responsibilities can be blurred sometimes, but obviously a CT1 doctor is expected to do more than an FY1 level doctor. So you have to remember what level you are getting into. So if you get a trust grade doctor level job and they say that it's a foundation year 1 level, that means you can expect a much less pay than if you're getting a trust grade doctor at CT1 level. So understanding the level of the job is very important when you're thinking about how much you're going to get paid. We have written a detailed article on this topic already. I'm just going to move to that article right now. As you can see, in this article, we have talked about the different levels and pay scales according to what experience you can get into. In this infographic, you can see internship with or without a year or few years of experience, you can expect to get into a foundation year 1, foundation year 2 or CT1 level based on your application process and the interview and everything and the level of job that you applied for. With MRCP or MRCS completed and 3 years of experience, you can get into ST3 level. Please also note the different non-training job titles and also different non-training job titles at this level. So first of all, the levels matter most, and so the pay scale is based on the nodal point, as we said, and as we can see, for foundation year 1, in England, the basic pay per year is £28,243. For foundation year 2, the basic pay is £32,691. For CT1 and CT2, which is equivalent to ST1 and ST2, the basic pay is £38,693 per year. And for specialty registrar post ST3 and above in England, the basic pay is £49,036. So this pay bracket that we've seen in Nodal Point, these are basic pay. So if you don't do any on-calls, you're just doing 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, every day, your basic hours that you're contracted to do. And if that is the job that you're applying for, that they have no on-calls, then this is the pay that will be basic pay, and that's it. You just get paid that amount. But if you opt for on-calls, or if you do some weekends as a part of your rota, then some enhancements get added into. Like you get paid like extra for those hours. So there is a basic pay of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but they calculate how many more hours of extra did you work. I mean, not extra, basically. You're working same 48 hours. We'll come into that in a point. You're working probably the same contracted hours, but some of those hours are unsocial. So some trusts consider unsocial after 5 o'clock. Some trusts consider hours after 7 o'clock. So it depends on the trust, but they calculate the unsocial hours and additional hours, and also at some night duty and also weekend. So these are the 4 things that you get extra enhanced on your salary. So depending on how frequently you're doing those shifts according to your rota, say for the same rota that you have to do as an on-call doctor, if there are only 4 doctors in the whole shift, that means you'll be doing more frequent. That means your enhancement will be higher. But the hospital probably has like 15 doctors to do this shift or do this rota. That means you will be in less time. So it depends on the rota completely, and it varies a lot from hospital to hospital. But if you don't opt for on-calls in a job, you can expect to get paid less. But if you opt for on-calls and you do on-calls, which I suggest you do, because in on-call shift you get so many learning opportunities when you're by yourself, or maybe on the off hours, and you get to do so many things unsupervised, and thus you can prove your competencies later on. So if you opt for on-call shifts, you can expect a pay rise of 40 to 50% more than what you're getting in your basic pay. So if it's like around 32, you may earn at around 48,000 per year. So that will increase your monthly income to a great degree if you opt for on-calls, because weekend pay is much higher than the normal hours, and also unsocial hours is much higher than the normal hours. So that is the thing to consider when you are opting for a job, whether the job has on-calls or not. So if you look for a job which doesn't have on-calls, so that have Monday to Friday 9 to 5, you should expect a much less pay. You should expect a less pay. And if you're looking for like higher pay, then you have to talk to the HR that whether my job includes on-calls or not. Taxes and other deductions. So you don't have to remember to pay your income tax and other deductions in the UK if you are obviously paying through PAYE, is pay as you earn. So the payroll department will automatically, NHS, automatically will deduct your taxes from your paycheck according to how much you're earning. So they will be giving you the difference, whatever it's remaining from the taxes. When we discuss about the pay slips after a few minutes, then you will get to know about different taxes and everything, how it's deducted and what you should look for. Taxes and other deduction is an income tax, and there is a tax code is mentioned on the payslip, which has to be this is the normal tax code for a tier 2 visa holder if you're working one job which is mandated by your visa rule. And make sure that you ask for a P46 form to fill before your payroll is set up, which will take your national insurance number, which will be on the back side of your BRP. And if they cannot confirm your national insurance number, they will be paying you on a basic rate, which is 20% non-cumulative emergency tax. So you're not getting any tax bracket, because 1250L, it means that in a year you're getting actually 12,500 tax-free income, and the rest, which is will be the rest of whatever you're yearly making, will be taxed. So in your month to month, you have somewhat some period amount of money that is not taxed. So if your tax code is not right, then basically your entire income is being taxed. So that's a very important thing to remember when you are setting up, or when you get your first paycheck, or whenever you're starting a job. Talk to payroll, fill this form, and how you can claim tax relief from different costs related to your work. Please read this article later on, but that's not our today's discussion. We will move on to how to calculate your take-home pay. So take-home pay, the term means that how much is actually going to your home from your job. So it's going to a bank account. Obviously, when you start a job, you have to set up a bank account with the payroll and everything. So the money will automatically go to your bank account from the job, and you don't have to remember to pay taxes or anything. It gets to every month on 28th of every month. If 28th is a Saturday or Sunday, I think the previous day at 12 o'clock, that's the sweet day of payday. Okay, so before even you all this tax deduction, everything is very difficult to make. As I said, if you have the right tax code, there is a small amount of money in your pay every month that is not taxed, and the rest of them is taxed, and the national insurance. And if you opt for NHS pension, which is 9.3% of your taxable pay, of your entire gross pay, I think that is I think it's basic pay that is taxed. So see, there are a lot of minute calculations that is not possible for a person to do, and that's why there are tax calculators on the website. So before you go into tax calculator, you need to know how much is your gross pay. So gross pay is made up of as you can see here, it's my work schedule from the ICU shift, that ICU rotation that I worked full time for 40 hours, and my basic pay enrollment point 3 is this much for CT1 level, and these are all extra amount of money that is added for my enhancement for additional hours above 40, weekend allowance at 10%, and enhanced pay at 37%. Enhanced pay will be at night shifts and everything that I'm doing. There is no on-call availability supplement or anything, or flexible prepping or anything of that sort. So my pension is only on the basic amount, and this is my extra, which is non-pensionable, but the taxation is different. So the entire annual pay, which is the gross pay, is 54,121.39. So if you go to the salary calculator website, which is linked in our article, and put in here 54,121.39, and the tax code is, say, 50 by L. Your tax code changes if you claim for tax reliefs, but I'm just saying this for the basic of the purposes. I don't want to know weekly or daily, yearly and monthly. And there is pension amount I contribute is 9.3% auto enrollment, and there is no bonus, overtime or childcare, which we'll talk about later on. Okay, so calculate. So with this calculator, as I can see, that in 2020 the take home is slightly higher, which is 3,132.39. So with my tax code being adjusted, it's kind of slightly different right now, but if you can see, if it's the basic tax code 1250L, I'm making a monthly of 3,132.39 as a CT1 doctor with that kind of enhancement in my pay. What your gross pay will be, you can just put this on the calculator and put the pension first later on, and change the pension to 0% and not put anything and see how much changes it make, and that's kind of really accurate version of what you will be getting every month. So you can use this take-home calculator when you're looking for job. Like you can see that this is the pay that has been circular, or you got a job and you ask the HR how much will be my payment. Ask for work schedule. Work schedule is the word that the HR will understand, that what it will be your extra hours and how much the extra hours will affect your pay. If there's a basic pay and you're not working any on calls, then you can put it down and calculate how much your monthly pay will be. So what are the opportunities of earning more than that? Like, whether there is an opportunity of earning extra hours or doing locum work. So what happens is you have a rota, right? So you have a schedule for working Monday to Sunday. Say Monday to Sunday, what days you are working. So say I'm working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then I'm not working Thursday and Friday, and maybe I'm working on Saturday and Sunday. Say for example, in a week. So I'm working 5 days a week. After 2 days is on call, 2 days is weekend shift, and 2 days I'm off. Or say I'm working Monday to Friday and I'm Saturday, Sunday off. Now I have to look for opportunities in my trust. The trust will have their way of hiring locum doctors. Some trusts directly you have to contact the rota coordinator that I want to do a locum shift. If there is available, can you email me? Then whenever there is available, they will put you on an email list and you'll get an email that on this day, so today is Thursday or Tuesday, or on the next Tuesday, there's a locum shift. Are you willing to do it? Then you have to mail them and they will say, okay, I have booked you for it. Just go there to do the locum hour or extra shift that you are going to do. So you have to think about two things. Whether there's an availability of the locum, that's the first thing, and the second thing is whether you are available to work. So in no case you cannot do that you not go to your day job and go to a locum shift. I mean, that's impossible to do because you have to be present on your rostered rota duty. And the other days that you are not working or other days you are off, if you choose to work locum, if you're locuming or if you're working extra for your own trust, there is no limit. I mean, obviously there is a rostering rule that after a night shift you have to have this amount of rest, or after a long day you have to have this amount of rest. So whatever software the rostering system use, they will know that whether you are working or you're maintaining that or not. I mean, you cannot continuously work 7 days a week. I mean, if you have on calls and everything, you cannot, because there is a law which prevents you from doing that, because that hampers your ability and health to provide good service to the patients. So the rostering role is maintained by the rota coordinator, so they will check that for you. Most of the hospitals these days use an app or a system which they will prevent you from booking in a locum if you have night shift because you cannot finish a night shift 8 o'clock in the morning and go to a locum job at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's not possible. So you have to have your rest. So you have to be fitting in that criteria that you have an off day and it will not impact your rostering rules, and there is a vacancy for a locum post. Only then you can book a locum post. So as I was saying, for your trust, you can do unlimited hours. There is a restriction of hours if you're working under your trust. But if you sign up for a locum agency who will send you to a different trust, which is a different employer, there is a restriction in your tier 2 visa that you can only work 20 hours extra a week. So say in a week you have worked already whatever hours that were rostered for you to work, and you want to go to the next city's hospital or next whatever, a different employer, then you can only work 20 hours per week. So to tell you how the locum hours add to your income, the locum hours are paid on hourly basis. So if it's an 8-hour shift, depending on where you're working in the UK, it can vary a lot. So I can say it from my experience. In my previous trust, I was paid 35 pounds per hour for an 8-hour shift or whatever. But now as a city one, in this hospital, we can get 50 pounds per hour. So it depends on which hospital. So if you think about a normal calculation, let's have a look at my calculator. So if it's a 13-hour shift that I do, and I'm getting paid 50 pounds per hour. So for that one shift, actually I make 650 pounds. And if you obviously it will be taxed if it adds to my income. So say as a rule of thumb, if it's 20% taxed, then I have 520. So for a 13-hour shift, I'm making 500 pounds for a locum shift. So if you think about that, you're making say 2,600 for your basic pay, and you do 2, 3, or you have the opportunity to do 2, 3, 4 locums of 12-hour shifts, then you can almost make more than half of what your normal pay stub is. So you made all this money, but you really have to look to your pay slips every month. I really urge that you do that. You look at your pay stub. Yes, the money is automatically going into your bank account. You're happy. Everything is set up direct debit. You don't have to think about anything actually. If everything you set it up, your bills get paid automatically from your bank account. Your money is coming automatically to your bank account. So you just have to hold your horses when you're going to a shop or anything. But other than that, everything is set up automatically. But still, at the end of each month, like say when it's 28th of each month when you get paid and when you see the money coming in, please check your payslip. In my previous trust, there was still paper payslip, so the payslip used to come to our department, and I used to find from a stack of payslip. But right now it's paperless. or even if it's paperless, your ESR, my ESR in nhs.uk, you will be given an ESR login, electronic staff record, NHS electronic staff record login. When you start a job, please ask for that if you don't have that. Your ESR should have all the payslip already as a e-payslip format on your pay stub. So please check that. And now we're going to discuss what to look for in a pay stub. So we have an article, it's called How to Save Money, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, How to Save Money as a Doctor in the UK. So we'll go there. I think there is a copy of a payslip there already. Yeah. So there we go. So this payslip, as you can see, it's my payslip. I work as a co-trainee 1 level is at Hereford Hospital. And the things that you have to definitely make sure that check your tax code. So if the tax code is, if you see a few numbers like, 1250L cumulative, that should be your general tax code. There is a difference between cumulative and non-cumulative. That's a big discussion. I'm sure that you can Google and find it out. But the tax code is the first thing that you have to look for, whether the tax code is correct. If it's not correct, that means it's not set up with your P46 form. Contact your payroll and say that my tax code is not correct. So if any tax that you paid this month, which was not correct, and if you correct it later on, you will get a refund later on. As you can see here, obviously, after the tax code, you see whether your pay and allowances are correct. So you can say basic pay, additional roster hours, night duty allowance, and weekend. So you will see in all these columns, you will see how many hours and what is the rate of that hour and the amount. So all this will add and make a total amount, and then is the deduction. The deduction will pay you, which is the income tax, and this is NI is for national insurance, and NHS pension is 9.3%. So these are all deductions. So after that, this is where the calculation would happen and tell you the net pay, and you make sure that the net pay is what is reflected on your bank account. So what can go wrong? So what happened when I started, I remember clearly, it took the payroll 3 or 4 months to fix mine. If I hadn't noticed, I would be actually paid wrong. So what happened is initially we started as an emergency medicine, and emergency medicine does not have 9 to 5. You have on calls and everything, but I was getting paid only basic hours. So I noted that there is no extra enhancement on my pay stub. So it took them 1 month to correct that. So, and then the next month I saw that even though I filled my P46 form, the tax code was not correct. I was getting taxed at 0T or non-cumulative or emergency tax or something of that sort. It's 20% and there is no tax bracket or anything. So that took another month to correct the tax code. The third month was again, they put my hours wrong. So I was working 40 hours a week. So they put me less than that, or something happened. I don't clearly remember. But see, if you don't know what to look for, you will not find the problem. So remember the 3 things. You have to look at your tax code. You have to look at whether you're getting paid for the on-calls that you're doing. And also you have to look at the deductions, whether there is any extra deductions happening that you were not aware of. If you see anything that you don't understand, you have every right to call the payroll and talk to whoever is responsible for the payroll and ask them politely, I don't understand this, what is this, what is this deduction, and they will definitely clarify it for you. So let's talk about some frequently asked questions regarding the pay of doctors. Obviously, I think the more frequently asked is, will I get paid as a trainee doctor? I don't know. I think it's different in different countries. Yes, you will get paid as a trainee doctor. You will get paid as a non-trainee doctor, and the difference is very negligible. Because as I said, the payment of doctors is basically dependent of what level they're working. So if you are a CT1 trainee and if you are a CT1 non-trainee, your basic pay is the same. Now it depends on how many extra hours you're working. If it's a non-trainee and you're not working in extra hours, you'll just get the basic pay. If you're a trainee, when you'll have to do the extra hours and on-calls and everything, you will get an enhancement. So there is no difference. As a non-training doctor, you have the right, I mean, depending on the advertisement they put forward, you have the option to choose, like, I would say option, I would say you can find jobs which does not have on-calls, or you can find jobs which have on-call. So this is your choice to decide whether you want to start with an on-call job or you don't want to start with an on-call job. But as I said earlier, starting with an on-call job makes more sense because your main target of your non-training job is to gain those competencies so that you can prove your readiness to enter specialty training via the CREST form, and you can join the further training later on. So payment of non-training and trainee doctors are not different. They're paid under the same pay scale. So what's the pay for a GP or a consultant? I think that's beyond my point of discussion at my career level right now. But to give you a touch, after you become a GP, or I think we do have a link, I will direct you towards that because I think that will discuss more regarding how the pay scale structure works. But when you become a consultant or when you become a GP, there's so many things that can add to your income, or it can be so much flexible about how many hours you work, how many on-calls you work. So basically it depends on the package that you're offered, or on the package that you accept to do when you are working as a GP or a consultant. And also some consultant and GPs can involve in private clinics, which can increase your pay substantially. So the pay for consultant GPs are very, very variable. And if you ask me whether they get paid more compared to other countries or paid less, that's a completely different discussion. But pay for a GP or a medicine or a surgery consultant can completely different from hospital to hospital. Consultant in one hospital does not get paid the same as an emergency consultant on the next hospital, because they can negotiate, because they have years and years of experience, and they can negotiate their pay depending on their years of experience, depending on their I think that there's a thing called clinical excellence or something of that sort, which I'm not completely aware of because I have not gone that far yet. So if you are thinking about joining as a junior doctor, the prime thing you have to think about is at what level is the job. Is it an FY1 level, FY2 level, CT1, ST1 level, or ST3 level? So most of the senior clinical fellows and specialty doctor are higher than ST3, and most of the FY2 doctors and I'd say junior clinical fellow or trust gate doctor, LAS doctors are actually CT1 and FY2, and obviously if it's FY1 it will be mentioned in the job advertisement. I think one last question a lot of doctors ask, do the doctor get paid enough? So what is enough? That's a very I think subjective question. How much pay is enough, do you think? Yes, if you ask how much is enough, I would say whether I can live life with it. Yes, I can. Whether I can afford a home. Yes, I can. Whether I can afford a house. Yes, you can rent a house comfortably. But all of this thing, your expenditure, your expenses mainly depends on where you're staying. So I think this is the thing a lot of people don't consider when they're looking for a job, because they'll only think at the money and they don't think about how much you will spend. So if you this is not in any way to deter you from living a high life in London or somewhere else. If it's your choice, it's your choice. But just to give you an idea, obviously the expenses in bigger cities is much higher than if you stay in a small city. So if you have a family of 4 and you are the only earning member, just think twice before living in a big city as your first job in the UK, because the expenses it's drastically changed, because even a 1-bedroom flat in London can cost you an upwards of £1,000, with which, like with £800, you can completely rent a house, entire house with 2-bedroom and 2-bathroom in some other parts of UK. So I'm just giving an example. Obviously, maybe there is much variation to that. Maybe you'll find cheaper accommodation in London as well. You never know. So that depends upon you. So how much is enough is actually mainly depend on how much you spend. So if you know how to save and how to budget your money well, and I think with the doctor's pay, how much is a doctor gets paid in the UK, you can live a good life. So guys, that was my long and short of a doctor's pay in the UK. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment below, and we have linked the articles that we have discussed in this video in the description box. Do check them out. Please subscribe us on our YouTube channel so that you can get notified instantly when you're coming up with new videos. And we have an extensive article collection in road2uk.com. Please go and check it out, and like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Have a nice day.